All right, we're talking with Jerry Gilliland here in Stanton. And Jerry, you were a longtime coach and teacher here at Stanton. Well, let's just kind of run that down. Tell me about your teaching and coaching career, all that you did, not just in Stanton, but overall. I mean, you can start right at the beginning if you like.
Well, it was in 1962 that I came to Stanton. I taught junior high math and science, and I was also the assistant football coach and the junior high girls and boys basketball coach. I really didn't have a coaching endorsement, but at that time it was easy for me to get an endorsement, so I got that without any problem. And then my second year was so ironic. I have a twin brother, John, who taught in Missouri his first year, and then they needed at Stanton a coach, a high school coach, is what he was. So I called him, and then that second year he came to Stanton. He was a high school football and basketball coach, and he taught the high school math. And then a couple of years down the road, he got an offer at YJB, Yale, Jamaica, and Bagley. So he went there to teach and coach. And then that following year, they needed exactly what I was. So I went up to YJB and coached the high school basketball girls track, and I taught math. So it was interesting that kind of turned around that way.
Yeah. And then you came back to Stanton.
Well, when I was at Stanton, I realized they had some young girls there. My wife is from Stanton, so I thought it would be best. We wanted to come back, so we come back, and it was 69, 70 that we came back to Stanton. And when I came back to Stanton, I taught the junior high and high school basketball, and I taught junior high and high school track. And I started softball in that summer of 69. We didn't have it. We had a limited schedule. We only played 2 or 3 softball games, and it wasn't until a few years later that I had a complete schedule.
Okay. How many years were you, all the, you mentioned girls basketball and some track. How many years total did you end up coaching here? And when did you finish up?
Well, in junior high, I coached junior high basketball, girls basketball, every year I was at Stanton. So that was 34 years. And basketball, when I came back in 69 and 70, I coached, like I said, I knew I had some good girls, so I coached the basketball, but I only coached it for 9 years. That was a long season, and I coached all of the other high school and junior high sports, so I figured if it's something to give up, it would be that basketball season. It was just too long.
It does kind of drag on a little bit. You've got the Christmas break there in the middle. Highlights that kind of come to your mind when you kind of think about your coaching career. What are some highlights that you, or maybe favorite moments that you kind of remember?
Well, in every one of the sports, I did well, but I also lost a few games too. It seemed like some of my best moments happened in track. There were several years in track. In fact, in junior high, in the middle 70s, there was 6 years that I went out without losing a junior high track meet. And then in the high school track, we did quite well. It seemed like it was in the 80s, I won 5 or 6, I can't remember, championships in the Corner Conference girls. Basketball, back when I first started, we did quite well. We won game from going to the state. I always said it took an Olympian to beat me. Woodbine and Debbie Esser, they were the team that beat us. So those are the fond memories. I can't say one team was better than the other one because I enjoyed all of them.
Very good. Yeah, that's awesome. So before we kind of continue down that road, let's go back a little bit to maybe how you developed into getting the interest in being a teacher and a coach. Growing up, where did you grow up? And tell me a little bit about kind of how it got to the point where you decided you wanted to be a teacher and a coach.
Well, I grew up in Missouri. It was near Kansas City, and I went to Northwest Missouri State. When I went to college, I wasn't really certain what I wanted to do, but in math, I enjoyed math, so I started taking math, and I got my degree in mathematics. I always enjoyed sports. It's so ironic. When I was in Missouri, we didn't have girls sports in high school. And when I came to Stanton, I coached 6-on-6 for the first game I ever saw. I coached it, and I admit that first year I didn't win a basketball game. It was 0-8, I think it was, my first year coaching. It just
didn't know what the heck the 6-on-6 was about at that time, I assume. You mentioned you grew up in Kansas City. Where did you go to high school?
it was Lathrop High School. Well, I went high school. It was near Cameron and Kearney. I'm always a Missouri. I'm still a big Missouri fan, but that's what your roots are. Where you grow up at.
Yeah. And so, I mean, when you were growing up, there were no Royals. The World Series champions. I'm a big Royals fan. Were you an athletics fan or anything like that?
No, I was basically a Chiefs and a Royals fan, and I did participate in sports. I wasn't real good, but I participated in all the sports.
Did you have any influences growing up? I mean, your brother was also a teacher coach. I mean, was there somebody who influenced both of you?
No, I don't think so. We both were always together. We went to college together. Everything we did together. He became a math teacher and coach just as I was. And like I said, we taught together here at Stanton for a couple of years, and we went to YGB and taught a couple of years. And then I came to Stanton, and he went to Harlan, and he's been there as long as I've been to Stanton here. Wow. So,
very cool. I guess going back to your coaching career in Stanton as well, and I was talking influences there. Can you talk about some influences here in Stanton? Some folks that you worked alongside with that you felt you couldn't have done your job without them.
Well, coaching, there was several teachers here that, at the same time, that's the reason they always said Stanton was one of the better schools, and there was a lot of teachers here that stayed together for all those years that I was here. Don Hicks, he coached all of the sports, boys' sports here, while I was coaching the girls' sports. Yeah. And Gary Stevens, the athletic director, he was here at the same time too. But all of us kind of, Bruce Schubert came aboard. He was my assistant for several years. Ed Engstrom was here. We stayed all together for all those years. It was a nice group to be with.
What would you say is like the reason for that? Why was it everybody was just? I mean, you don't see that a lot where the people stay in one spot for a long time. Just guys work really well together.
I don't know if there's any one particular reason. We all liked each other. We enjoyed each other. It was a nice small community. The people are friendly. When I first started, I thought I'd be here a couple of years and then gone. But the people are so friendly. And it was just a nice community to be with.
Well, I got to talk to you. I talked to you about highlights or whatever, some of your best memories. Maybe can you talk about some athletes that you coached that you really didn't need to coach, that they were just really great athletes? Some of the top girl athletes you came across here at Stanton.
Well, that's a tough question. You kind of put me in a spot there because I don't want to omit anybody. Right. But there were several teams that we had. There was Elaine Johnson we had, and Pam Hummel, and Cheryl Franzine, Donna Peterson. All those girls were in one group that I had. In track, I had Katie Connor, Lisa Headley, Kathy Brown. Those girls were outstanding girls. Like I said, without going back, I don't want to omit anybody, but I had a lot of good athletes and a lot of good girls.
I know that's tough. I like to put coaches on the spot though. Yeah. So were you talking mainly with those girls tracksters, basketballs? I mean, were they everything?
That's one thing I really thought was good here. That when I started coaching, the girls not only went out for basketball, they went out for track, and they went out for softball. So I had them the year round, and which made it easy for me. You develop in the off season. So whatever sport it was, they were always working. They was always doing conditioning. So basically, every one of those girls I had were out for every one of the sports, both junior high and high school.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's one of the big things now. A lot of folks will individualize, don't just play one sport. I mean, how important to you in your mind is it to do everything, I guess, be active in a lot of different sports? You feel like that makes you a better overall athlete?
Well, in a small school like this, you can do that. You can be in every sport. But when you get to a bigger school, it is more difficult to play in all of the sports, mainly because there's a lot better athletes, so there's more athletes there. But I really think, if a young person, boy or girl, play in all the sports, they get the advantage of every one of those different types of activities, and it really helped them. Sports is a lifelong learning situation. It's not wins or losses. It's how you become a person at the end. And by participating in all these different sports, they get a better chance to see what that thing is out and help them in life.
Great. You took some notes here. You put some things down, and we've kind of touched on. I'm hoping a lot of that. Anything else you want to kind of touch on that I haven't asked you about?
Well, I don't know. I coach a lot of games here at Stanton. I don't know how many teams I coached. But if you think of all of the basketball games I coached, the junior high games I coached, the track meets I coached, there was a lot of time spent here that I really enjoyed it. Every bit of it I enjoyed it. But I must say, I took an early retirement in 1998. I was coaching all of the girls' sports. I was a math teacher. I was doing computer work. I'm just kind of wearing myself out. And that opportunity came to do an early retirement, so I hopped right on it.
And now we are in the Viking Center Library, and I know this is something that you do. Do you work here every day? Can you tell me what you do?
Well, right now I am a certified librarian. The library job is 20 hours a week. I basically open in the afternoon. Like I said, I retired from teaching and coaching in 1998, and then I took this library job. It was down on Main Street. I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago we had that human book chain. I must admit it was kind of my idea to move those books from that place to this place, and that really went well. But like I said, I'm a certified librarian. Everything is going well. I'm here 20 hours a week, and it's a little bit different than coaching and teaching. It's pretty quiet here, and I really enjoy this.
And I always ask when I do these, I ask about the family. You said your wife is from Stanton, so obviously I think you probably met her. And did you have met her here? I mean, do you have any other family that from I guess any other family with her?
Yes, we have 3 children: Toby and Monty and Tracy. They all went to school here. Toby's is in Red Oak now. Monty lives in Salina, Kansas, and Tracy is up in Minnesota. So, and we have 12 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren, so we have a lot of time with the kids.
Any teachers and coaches out of that mix?
No, not yet, but some of my grandkids, I think they're going to be teachers. I'm not certain.
Jerry, I appreciate you taking time out of your day with me today. Again, I'll ask you if anything else you'd like to add.
I don't think so, and I appreciate Derek for all this, going back, reminiscing a little bit of my pastime.